It's good to see you this morning. We got a lot of stuff coming up this week. This is this coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're planning for some time. This is kind of our gospel meeting this fall. We decided to go with more of an in-house sort of meeting and something directed at a specific age group. Young Men's Leadership Workshop, really concentrating on young men like 13 to 25. And starts Friday night. Of course, everyone's welcome Friday night. It's kind of a kickoff lesson at 7 o'clock. Saturday down at the building here, it's simply for men, but men of all ages. Fathers and sons of men of all ages. And that's at 10:30 one session and 2 another. And then Sunday is regular service times, but each one of those lessons, as long as the class is going to have a leadership emphasis. And be praying for that. Be praying for this effort. I've heard a lot of encouraging response from people that have seen this to say, yeah, that's something that we really need. That's something that young men really need. So we're hoping we get a good response, not only from this congregation, but from some of the other congregations in the area as well. You know, we really don't know how many people are going to show up on Saturday, but we know we've got some good stuff. Really encouraged that some of the lessons on Saturday are done by our elders and some of our deacons. And that's neat to see those men using their talents. And from what I saw, I think Saturday's, there's some great stuff. They've got some great material, great charts, and I think it's going to be a good thing. I want to talk about wisdom this morning. And I need it. I need wisdom. Therefore, be careful how you walk, not as unwise men, but as wise. Ephesians 5:16. He says, for the days are evil. The days are evil. Redeem your time because the days are evil. Be careful how you walk because there's a lot of dangers out there. The world's always been a dangerous place. There is so little time. Redeem your time. There's so little time. You only get one life. And it goes by so quickly. And there are so many important relationships in this life. Marriage, parent, friend, brethren. And there are so many situations that are going to be absolutely new to me and to you, that I've never faced before at that moment. So many of them. So many. Even at this stage in my life, there are things like I've never encountered that before. Never encountered that sort of situation before. There are still new situations to run into when you're halfway or over halfway through your life. Need wisdom. And the relationships that you do have are always changing. The marriage relationship is always changing. The parenting relationship is always changing as parents and children both grow, and as husband and wife both grow. Those are always changing relationships. God gives it, though. God gives wisdom. James 1:5, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all men generously. It's available. A lot of it's available. And the book of Proverbs bears this out. Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 20. Wisdom shouts in the streets. She lifts up her voice in the square. At the head of the noisy streets, she cries out. She is there where it's real busy. Does not wisdom call? Chapter 8, 1 and 2. Where the paths meet at a busy intersection, where things are merging, where traffic from two different directions is coming together, she takes her stand beside the gates at the opening of the city. Very busy place. But wisdom could be found there. Wisdom has built her house, chapter 9, 1 through 4. She has prepared her food, her meal, her banquet. She's got the buffet table all set up. She has set out her maidens, that is to send out invitations. She calls her guests. I'm one of her guests. You're one of her guests. Whoever is naive, years ago I got this invitation. Whoever is naive, let them turn in here. Tables are all set up. The banquet, the buffet is over there. They're the place. Whoever is naive, turn in here. Buy truth, do not sell it. Get wisdom, instruction, and understanding. That is, it is out there to be purchased. Well, where is she? Well, here's where she is. Wisdom will be at a Bible study. That's where wisdom is. Yesterday, when Chad had his class here at the building, wisdom was here. Friday night, when the Walkers had a home study at their home, wisdom was here. Earlier, when the Browns had studied at their house, wisdom was there. She's here Wednesday night. Every Wednesday night, wisdom is here. She hangs out here on Wednesday nights, if you're wondering. That, if you at home, if there's a Bible over in that corner there, that's where wisdom is, over in that corner. If the Bible is under some stuff in your bedroom, like under a bunch of stuff, wisdom's under that bunch of stuff. When an older person comes to you and says, I don't want to offend you, but can I give you some advice? That's wisdom. When parents and grandparents are talking, wisdom is there. When Christian godly men might be huddled over in a corner talking about something, wisdom is probably there. The same thing with godly women. Wisdom is there. Now, there's probably other places that she hangs out, but those are definitely some places I know or that I've discovered where wisdom hangs out. One writer said, never mistake knowledge for wisdom. One helps you make a living, the other helps you make a life. Knowledge and wisdom are not the same thing. You can know enough. You can know an awful lot and still be foolish. Proverbs 8, 34 through 36. Besides just life, the brevity of life, so many challenges in life, here's another reason. Blessed is the man who listens to me, watching daily at my gates. What's she going to teach today? I'm here Sunday morning for class because what's wisdom going to say this particular Sunday? Wednesday night I want to be here because what's wisdom going to say in the class or from the teacher or from the scriptures on that particular Wednesday night? If a conversation is going on in the corner with some godly men, I don't want to get over there. What might wisdom be saying at that particular moment? If I've got a little time on my hands and haven't done my Bible reading yet today, watching daily at her gates, what might I learn in this particular half an hour? Watching at my doorposts. How blessed is man who's always there, like I'm ready for the next lesson. When's the next lesson coming? I'm ready there, eagerly anticipating the next nugget. For he who finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. But he who sins against me, I don't want that. I don't listen to that. No, I don't want advice. Injures himself. And all those who hate me love death. That's a strong statement. All who hate me love death. If you don't want to be wise, then you've made a choice for misery. You want existence or you want life? Existence or life? In other words, do you want to have an enjoyable, good life filled with many blessings? A life removed from all sorts of regrets? Seek wisdom. You want to look back on your life and say, you know what? Since I became a Christian, I have very few regrets. I felt I did it right. I'm ready for the next step. On the other hand, if you want to suffer, if you want to live in a rut, ignore it and have existence. I want life. I don't want existence. I want life. More reasons. Proverbs 8, verse 14. Wisdom brings power, not the abuse of power. Counsel is mine. Sound wisdom. I am understanding. Power. Could we not say influence is mine? You want to do it the hard way? Or you want to do it a way that's easy? Ecclesiastes 10:10, if the axe is dull and he does not sharpen its edge, then he must exert more strength. Wisdom has the advantage of giving success. You want things to go well, smooth, not be frustrating. Opt for wisdom. It offers protection. For wisdom is protection just as money is protection. Don't worship money, don't serve it, but it sure is handy to have money. It sure is handy to have money when there's an unexpected bill that shows up. That's protection. Wisdom offers you a similar sort of protection. It can protect your marriage. It can protect the congregation. It can protect you personally. And it brings a bright future, a future you can say, I'm looking forward to that future showing up. I'm smiling at that future. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 14. Know that wisdom is thus for your soul. If you find it, then there will be a future, and your hope will not be cut off. I want to have a future. And I want to have a good future. Square one, where do I start? You know, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom. And to depart from evil, that's understanding. Job 28:28, but that's not the only place that it's found. It's found in Psalm 111, verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and a good understanding have all those who do his commandments. You want to talk to somebody who understands life? Find someone who's obeying the Bible. They have a good understanding. Or Proverbs 9:10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. But Proverbs 1:7 says the same thing. One writer said, we're drowning in information and starving for knowledge. How much more? How much more in our? How much more right now? Drowned in information. It's not knowing much, but what is useful that makes you wise. Knowing what is useful. We have too many men of science, too few men of God. We know more about war than we know about peace, more about killing than we know about living. That was a good quote. Knowing isn't necessarily being wise. The essentials. If the fear of the Lord is the beginning, if that's the starting point, if that's the first square on the game board that you have to start from, then that would tell me that trusting God, taking his word at face value, being willing to implement his instruction, working his plan, being humble, recognizing God is God and I'm not God. I don't know it all. I need to listen to him. His advice is a lot better than my sort of logic. Recognizing he's the expert. He's the expert on life. He's the expert on relationships. He's the expert on the family. He's the expert on what will make me happy. Those are the essentials. Those are essential attitudes to ending up wise. He sees his areas of ignorance. Proverbs 9:9 give instruction to a wise man. He will be still wiser. A wise man is always willing to learn. That's one thing he sees. I don't know about that. I need help over there. I like this verse. A wise man realizes that there's no argument against God, and so I'm going to stop trying to come up with one. There is no argument against God's word, and so I'm going to stop spending my time trying to come up with a scenario that either undermines the existence of God or undermines the credibility of the Bible or undermines that Jesus is the Son of God or undermines that he was raised from the dead or undermines Bible morality. I'm going to stop trying to come up with scenarios that give me an out of why I do not have to believe and obey. A wise man surrenders. A wise man says, there's no argument against God. There's no argument against what Scripture says. There is no wisdom, no understanding, and no counsel against the Lord. That's what a wise man does. A wise man realizes where you put up a fight and where you don't fight. And you don't fight against God. You fight against, a wise man understands who the real enemy is, what the real struggle needs to be against, where my mental effort needs to be channeled, where the real fight is. And it's not against God. A wise man also sees the evil left within himself after baptism. Baptism forgives you all your sins, but it doesn't mean that there's nothing left for you to work on in your life. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 2, when pride comes in, comes dishonor, but with the humble is wisdom. Proverbs chapter 20, I think here would be something else on a wise man. Wine is a mocker, strong drink a brawler. Whoever is intoxicated by it is not wise. I just don't have a whole lot of patience for the whole social drinking or recreational drinking or things like that. A wise man says, I can't handle that. Even socially. Even now and then I can't handle that. It's a mocker. There's evil within me. There's selfishness within me. There's a hedonist still lurking within me. I'm not even going to have the first drink. I'm not even going to try it. I know what's within me. I know what I'm capable of doing. A wise man never, I can handle it. That's not wisdom. The wise man understands, I can't handle any sin. Any sin I can't dabble in and handle. C.S. Lewis says, when a man is getting better, he understands more and more clearly the evil that is still left within him. I think that's true. You understand the selfishness that is still there. Parenting, I think that does that to you. Parenting focuses where you are still impatient and where you are still selfish. It really brings that out. A marriage can bring that out too. Here's where I'm still selfish. Here's where I don't have a lot of patience. Here's where I don't have enough self-control. It really highlights that and spotlights that. When a man is getting worse, he sees that less and less. I think that's also true. I like this. You can understand the nature of drunkenness only when you're sober, not when you're drunk. Good people know about good and evil. Bad people know neither. I think he's right. So many people will say, hey, don't knock it until you tried it. If you're doing it, you don't understand it. The only person that understands it is the person not doing it. He's right. The drunk doesn't see himself. The person who's sober sees drunkenness perfectly. The person in the midst of it does not see it. But the person's seen it going on, I see that perfectly. And it looks bad. And it is bad. He's honest also. He may love his country. And I think wise men typically do. He may love his country. But a wise man sees where his country is not right. Where his country is wrong. Homer Bradley said, the world has achieved brilliance without wisdom, power without conscience. Ours is a world of nuclear giants and ethical midgets. I think he saw where his country was. We've developed all this stuff, and we don't have the morals to handle it. We don't have the morals to handle it. He sees the difference between information and knowledge. There's a difference between those two. He sees God's wisdom in what God has made, like today. Beautiful fall day, but we're up against summer's gone, but maybe a little bit, maybe a residual out there today, but we're up against autumn. A gorgeous day. Psalm 104, verse 24. O Lord, how many are thy works? In wisdom thou hast made them all. The earth is full of thy possessions. A wise man sees God's handiwork in creation. He understands that what is new is not necessarily better. What is new may be worse. What is new may not be true. The latest may not be the best. He thinks things all the way through, like the Bereans. They search the scriptures daily to see whether these things were so. I think it through. I dare to think it through. I dare to think. What's going to happen if I make that choice? What's going to happen if I make that decision? Wise men are very aware of their own mortality. Psalm 90 and verse 12. I know I'm going to die. I don't know. I think I've known I was going to die for a long, long time. Going all the way back to childhood. Maybe it's because many of my relatives started dying early on, really early on, when I was like 4 or 5. A number of funerals early on. I'm going to die one day. I'm going to die too. I'm going to be just like them. I'm not going to live forever. Psalm 90 and verse 12. So teach us to number our days, that we may present to thee a heart of wisdom. We'll talk about that a little bit more at the end. Wise men consider the consequences. Deuteronomy chapter 39, verse 29. Would that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would discern their future, that they would look out there and say, what sort of future do I want? Or what's the future going to be if I do this now, or if I don't do this now? How is everything I'm doing going to come together right now for either a mess or reward? Would that they discerned their future. A wise man always looks up out of where he's at right now and says, okay, where am I headed? Where am I headed? I think that's one of the things that helped me become a Christian. I got myself out of the rut and said, I'm going to hell. That's where I'm headed. What star is that? What star is that? Because that's where I'm headed. That's hell. That's what a wise man does. A wise man gets out every now and then as you're busy, you're cleaning, you're working, etc., and says, okay, where are we going still? Are we still in the direction we want to be? And what is it? What is that destination? I'm not so busy living every day that I don't poke my head up now and then and say, what's the destination of all these choices that I'm making? Wise men don't gloat when other people fail. The Bible tells us not to do that. We are not happy when other people fail, but we learn when other people make bad decisions. Chapter 14, verse 16. A wise man is cautious and turns away from evil, but a fool is arrogant and careless. And probably suffers for it. Goes ahead. age I grew up in when I was a kid had a lot of that. Unfortunately, I don't see a whole lot today because a lot of people are like, it's not their fault. But when I was a kid, someone would always take you aside and say, see that person over there missing a finger or whatever? See that person over there who is paralyzed from the waist down? Here's what they did. Here's what happened. Learn. Learn. A lot of that went on when I was a kid. Maybe that's not correct these days to say they're suffering because of their choices. But a lot of that happened when I was a boy. And people would bend your ear on that. See that person over there? That's what happened. And you would look at them. And you'd always, I don't want to become like that. And if you started going a little bit fast in your car, you would think about that person that your dad showed you in the nursing home, who's paralyzed, all the way around. Before you bought that motorcycle, you would think about that long and hard. Before you got on and put your helmet on and said it's kind of slick today, you would think about that long and hard. If you were a sinner, if you're a sinner and you'd seen people that had fried their brains, which I saw, that were at parties, the younger, older brother would bring their brother, but he was just pretty much not much there. And when you would look at him before he took another drink and said, or if someone offered you something, you would say, maybe not. See the evil turn away from it. A wise one understands that wisdom needs to be saved and stored and remembered. And then it can be sold. And I can cease to be wise at any moment. I can sell my wisdom cheaply. A wise man knows that a little foolishness, just a little, just a moment of foolishness can undo an entire lifetime of wise living. Dead flies make the perfumer's oil stink, so a little foolishness is heavier than wisdom and honor. You can undo your entire life by one moment of fall. Wow. A wise man understands that. A wise man knows that there are answers. Who is like the wise man and knows the interpretation of a matter? Chapter 8, verse 1 of Ecclesiastes. There are answers to the questions of life. It's not all a confusion out there. But there's something else that Proverbs routinely says. Wise people listen to advice, but with those who receive counsel is wisdom. 13:10. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man is he who listens to counsel. Maybe this decision is not good. Maybe I need to get a second opinion. Maybe I need to listen to advice. Maybe I don't know it all. Maybe they know a little bit more than I. Maybe they see something I don't see. A wise son accepts his father's discipline. He accepts you can't do that. He accepts you got grounded. He accepts you lost some privileges. He says, that's my fault. I deserve that. A scoffer doesn't listen. He whose ear listens to life-giving reproof will dwell among the wise. The ear of the wise seeks knowledge, 18:15. Listen to counsel and accept discipline that you may be wise the rest of your days. Now, there is false wisdom too, though. You know, it's not always easy to listen to advice. Because you kind of think like that, well, I should know it all. You don't ever know it all. There's always something you can learn. Just come to terms with it, especially young men, come to terms with the fact. I don't know it all. That's okay. Everybody starts out that way. Surround yourself with wise counselors. Surround yourself with people who have skills. friends where you feel you're smarter than them, and so you can be the smart one, and they all look up to you, and they're the dumb ones. But that's a cheap way. That's a cheap way to move ahead. Surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. That are smarter than you. That are smarter than you in different areas. And they will bring you along with them. But don't surround yourself with a whole bunch of people that just kind of like follow you. You need smart people around you. You need people with skills around you. You need people who have good advice around you. And you'll be a better person for that. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord, turn away from evil. Proverbs 3:7. Wise in your own eyes. I think I know it all. I think I've got all the answers. I don't need any help. I don't need to listen to anybody. Wise in your own eyes. The sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can give a discreet answer. I don't want to be that person. Foolishness is rejecting God, thinking I know it all, thinking I don't need any help, thinking I can handle sin, thinking I've got a better way of living and handling life than found in the Bible. That's foolishness. People that I've seen hop on that route, it never goes good. It typically is a disaster. Wisdom is seen in not what you say merely, but what you do. Conduct yourselves with wisdom toward outsiders, making the most of the opportunity. Wisdom is demonstrated in how you live. The wise woman builds her house, the foolish tears it down with her own hands. Same true of foolish men. Conduct. A fool always loses his temper. That's conduct. The wise man holds it back. That's conduct. That's behavior. The real test for wisdom is your behavior. How you live. How you treat other people. How you react in a situation. If you say to yourself, Proverbs 29:11, I'm not quite there yet. All right, then you still have things to work on. You can get there. You can get to holding it back. You can get there. If you're not there yet, you still have growth. And that's the beginning of wisdom, to understand, I'm not there yet. There's still need for improvement. Wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, reasonable, full of mercy, good fruits, unwavering, without hypocrisy. That's all conduct. That's all behavior. That's all how you treat other people as well. This means you will not find wisdom in rebellion. I can't be wise and be sinning at the same time. Wisdom is never found in sinning. Being clever and being wise are not the same thing. There are a lot of clever sinners that are making very foolish choices. Don't try to be clever. Strive to be good. There is no wisdom in envy. There's no wisdom in jealousy. There's no wisdom in selfish ambition. James 3. No wisdom. There's no wisdom in self-centeredness. If you look at a part of your life and say, I'm selfish here, that's going to prevent wisdom from coming in. I need to get rid of that selfishness before wisdom can fully come into that part of my life. Theodore Roosevelt said that educate a person in mind and not in morals is to educate a menace. That's not a word we hear a lot. A menace to society. Somebody who's very intelligent but is not good is dangerous. And usually does a lot of harm in the world. Wise men, wise women You may have friends that are smart, but are they good? If you say, no, they are not good, then they're not going to be wise. I may not be here tomorrow. You too. No guarantee we're going to be here tomorrow, James chapter 4. A wise man understands that. A wise woman often thinks about that. I may not be here tomorrow. As we close the lesson, I may face God tonight. I may face God early tomorrow morning. What do I want my last day to be like, if this is it? Now, that doesn't mean quit your job and stuff like that. That's not one of those last day scenarios like you get a sudden illness and, okay, I'm going to quit my job and take a vacation or whatever. But what, my last day, what sort of behavior do I want to characterize that last day? What sort of, if I had a transcript of that last day, how would I want it to read as far as what I said to other people? Do I want my last day to be the day I blew my top? Or I frustrated my kids? Or I dishonored my parents? Or I had an arrogant attitude about something? Is that what I want my last day to be like? I may not be here for my kids tomorrow. Have I told them everything they need to know? If I'm not here tomorrow, did I get it all in? Did I tell them everything? Now, some of that I know has to do with age. But I'm talking like if you have teenagers or even kids out of school that if something happened to you that most of their training has been done. And what lasting memories do I want them to remember of me? Is the last thing I want them to remember the last time I saw Dad, he was upset? The last time I saw Mom, we had a confrontation. Well, what do I want the last memory to be? Of me. Either from my parents or my kids. What do I want the last memory to be? The last memory. And I remember this, I read a book one time about the war, as America got into the war, and one of the first places we hit was North Africa. And that's where some of our troops first got their first combat, was North Africa. And they said one of the commanders, the last anyone saw him is he was on the deck of a ship throwing hand grenades at the enemy. He didn't make it, but that was the last image he was there, throwing hand grenades at the enemy. Is that the last memory of Dad as a Christian? The last memory of Dad was he was slugging it out with the devil. The last memory of Mom and Dad was that they were busy, they were diligent, they were involved, they were serving, they were going someplace, that there was a class, there was something going on. The last memory is he went out fighting for God. That's the last memory of Mom or Dad. The time with my mate is running out. My marriage time is running out. I have less of it now than I had before. It's like one of those clocks with sand in it. What's up above is getting smaller and smaller and smaller every day that goes by. Lord, what's that passage in Psalm? Help me understand my mortality. Help me realize that my time with this person I married is limited. And right now, it may be really limited. I was just thinking this morning as I came to services, over 30 years has passed by. Over 30 years. If I live long enough, it may not be that long that I will have been married twice as long as I was single. And our 42nd anniversary, it will it will be, if I live that long, we will make it. If I live that long, it'll be twice as long. And it's gone by. Give me a heart of wisdom. Give me a heart of wisdom. Tell you what, one of the wisest things I did is this next step. I heard the gospel. I was willing to sit down at a coffee table with somebody at a dining room table and hear them out. Hear them out in the gospel. Faith comes by hearing, hearing by the word of God. I was willing to look at the evidence that Jesus is the Son of God and believe. John chapter 8, verse 24. I had some things I needed to stop. I had sins I needed to get rid of, and I was willing to stop that. That was the wisest thing I ever did, was stop those behaviors. Those particular behaviors at that time. Acts chapter 2, verse 38. And then it was really smart to confess Christ. Romans 10, 9 and 10. And one of the wisest things that all of us did is when we heard Mark 16:16 in that Bible study, wherever it was held. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved. We may have swallowed hard or whatever, but we said, that's what it says. That's what it says. And maybe there was an invitation extended. It might have been a Sunday morning. It might have been a Sunday night. It might have been Wednesday night. It might have been simply sometime during the week. We said, that's what it says. And you need to do that, Mark. And we got up out of that pew and we went forward and we gave someone a phone call and said, you need to meet me at the building because I need to be baptized. That was a smart decision you guys made to be a Christian. If you made that decision yet, I would highly recommend it. Let's be standing and singing together at this time.